want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
Yes, sir. It's
That's
real men.
right. That's right. I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
And handle the truth. How many of us want the truth? And hey, the truth is, I'm Kirk M. Samuels.
And I am Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Yes, we're just real men having real conversations for you.
Hey, man, you know what? We didn't even text about this, man. Some I don't know if you know who that is, but some knucklehead was like, "This show sucks." Or something like that.
I wrote back. I told him, "Thank you for watching."
Thank you for watching. Hey, we didn't make no promises that you know what I'm saying, but you the knucklehead, you know what I'm saying.
Hey,
but,
you know, we do what we do, and just like any other human being, some of them are gonna be good. Some are
what kind
be,
of an idiot?
better.
Like, I mean, whoever that knucklehead is, I don't know who he is, man. You know,
but you had to watch.
I should have said. Well, I should have said.
Well, and of course that was the how important is sex episode. So you know he'd be like, "What do you mean?"
He's one of those basement crawlers.
Yeah,
you know, down there.
His name,
you know,
when
Chuck. When he sees the daylight. Anyhow, no, I thought that was cool, man. Hey, we're down with it. If you think it's great, if you think it sucks, let us know, man.
Let us know.
I mean, you know, we'll roll with it either way. We do this, you know, on our own free time.
Yeah, you know, we're happy you're watching, even if you don't like it.
Yeah,
still watching.
So we do our radio show Saturday mornings at 8 a.m., Wednesdays at 6 p.m. And when we do our radio show, if you don't know, now you know, we record our show throughout the week, specifically on Mondays. And then our super producer, Nikki Nicole, takes it, edits it up, and then she publishes the packaged version of that on Saturdays and then the following Wednesdays. But we also do like a live stream on Facebook and YouTube when we record the studio version. So you get like the hour-long version, but then we come back because we've been doing this on Tuesdays for years.
Yeah.
So then we come back on Tuesdays for all you kids in the back that, you know, that don't have time to sit around for an hour. We have the same conversation for 30 minutes, man, on whatever it is we talked about in our studio version.
Yeah, this is just we'll do our best to condense it down. We're hopefully waiting on Dr. Lee to show up, but he's a doctor, so you know how that goes. Sometimes they get calls and things. So, but we were talking about men's hormonal health and men's health, and you know, we're all about raising up men and about creating healthy men in the world. And your hormones, especially when you get to our ages, are very important to update, to you know, make your life higher quality. Because you know, we all want to feel like we're 20 again, but it's not going to happen without some help.
You know, and health has a lot of different dimensions to it. You know, it's a lot of different layers, kind of like us. You know, we're multi-dimensional beings. And so health can look like, you know, your relationships, your finances, your mental health, your spiritual health, your emotional health, and then your physical health, your physiological health. And so, again, that's why we thought it was important enough to even come back. And like I said, you know, hopefully, or like you said, hopefully, you know, here in a minute, he'll be able to jump on. But, man, we had a fantastic conversation. We could have went so many different directions in that conversation, man. We started talking about just the overall healthcare system and how normally, you know, the health industrial complex is more about, you know, fixing stuff than preventing stuff, or more about, you know, quantity over quality or quality, whatever it is. And so, you know, these kind of conversations, especially when we start talking about hormone health or hormone optimization, you know, these kind of things are important, man, because it's like not only how you live, but or not only living, but how you live and living better in the time that you're living.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as much as we want to deny it, you know, as we get older, gentlemen, our testosterone naturally depletes. Now, one of the interesting things that Dr. Lee brought up yesterday is that a lot of younger men nowadays are having low testosterone, even at their younger years, for many reasons. Some of it's diet, some of it's the fact that you don't do anything but sit on the computer and play video games. You don't go out and do the sunshine. You don't do anything physical. And one of the big reasons was the internet pornography nowadays is taking, you know, every time you masturbate, you're dropping your testosterone. And so if you're not going outside, if you're not being physically active, if you're eating nothing but processed foods and, you know, doing nothing but holding on to your cell phone and dealing with those EMFs and the plastic and all of the petroleum products, because most of the processed food comes in plastic, which is petroleum product. So all that stuff gets in your system and causes estrogen blockers. So it blocks the testosterone. So if you are even healthy and have a healthy level of testosterone, but if you're eating a lot of microwave food, a lot of stuff out of plastic, if you're not getting out in the sunshine, it's creating a lot of the estrogen blockers, which actually blocks your body's ability to absorb testosterone. So, I mean, sometimes you have to change not only what you eat, but how you eat and a lot of your lifestyle if you want to be healthier and feel healthier.
It is a lifestyle thing. And before we forget, if you comment on here, if you're watching us live and you put a comment, JBK will make you famous. He'll put you right up on the screen, your name and what you got. If it's a question, if it's a comment, if it's a complaint, if you want to call us idiots, if you want to say this show sucks, you want to say you guys should be up for an Edward R. Murrow Award or whatever you want to, we'll make you famous. And of course, we dig your likes and your follows and your subscribes and definitely your shares and all that kind of stuff, man. We're trying to raise the baseline for men. When healthy masculinity comes in, it's like the tide and all boats rise. Relationships are better, communities are better, women are better, the world is a better place. And so we highly encourage you to comment here live, like, subscribe. Even if you comment when we're off air, we'll see it and we'll come back with you. But these are the kind of conversations, man, because it's like, it's not only, like you said, man, it's not only what we do in our life, but it's like how we do it. Not only is it what we eat, but how we eat. Not only is it, what we do sexually, but how we do sexually, and when we live, it's been on my heart since yesterday, man. It's like, I wonder if my next book is gonna be like the demasculinization of men. I mean, because it seems like, man, there's so much going into reducing the masculinity in our culture and who we are as men, and taking that out of the equation, man. And it's not a good thing. And hormone health is one way of that, hormone levels and all that stuff.
Well, I mean, just from what he was saying, with his sample groups and stuff and having younger men who have low testosterone coming in, and these are men who should be at the peak of their testosterone. They should be at the peak of their virility, but they're coming in with low testosterone issues. And a lot of that is due to lifestyle, due to food, and, due to how we get our food nowadays. And that was one of the things he brought up, which I totally agree, was his father and his grandfather had high testosterone and were manly men into their later years. And a lot of that was because they ate from the garden. They weren't eating food from grocery stores, which are like a tenth of the vitamin richness as food that you actually grow yourself in a garden. Because a lot of those things are picked before they're ripe. They're all these pesticides and fake fertilizers and things. I mean, he even brought up the fact that what we know of as a carcinogen, Agent Orange, which was used in Vietnam, Monsanto bought that patent and tweaked it a little bit and turned it into fertilizer. So we have this going into our food. So, I mean, things like changing your diet, changing your physical activity to be a better man, to be able to, because I know in my experience, when I'm low testosterone or not feeling well, I don't have the drive, I don't have the ambition, I don't feel like a man as much, I don't feel as physically virile. And of course, granted, I'm in my 40s, you just turned 50. So, I mean, some of this stuff is to be expected. But I think one of the things that is curtailing a lot of the guys nowadays is because we don't want to accept the facts. And of course, the common narrative is don't be a man. So if we don't feel like a man, if we feel more feminine, then that's actually applauded and celebrated today. But that's not who we are. And we want to be the best men we can be. We want to feel manly. We want to feel virile. We want to feel strong and have direction and purpose and have all those things that make us a valuable member of society. And some of that comes from the fact that maybe we have poor testosterone health.
One of the things that I feel like, I hear a lot from women, single and in relationships, is where are the real men? Where are the real men in our culture? Where are the real men in our society? Where are the protectors and the providers? And where are they? And I look at it, it's like, man, we're being basically outsourced. We're being, downsized. We're being riffed, reduction in force kind of thing. And that's culturally, that's, dietetically, I just made up a word, but, that's every generation, you know, actual testosterone levels are going down from generation to generation. Our fathers, our grandfathers, et cetera, et cetera. And then culturally, on one hand, where are the real men? But when we show up in our real manness, then then there's a push to suppress that kind of thing, man. And so, one of the things that that we talked about yesterday was just how much baked into like you said, our lifestyle from our sedentary lifestyle. A lot of us sit down all day, and we don't do a whole lot. And then you add the diet into all that kind of stuff, man. And then you add the cultural pressures. It's like, man, I'm just gonna conform. It's a lot easier to conform than to than to actually push back against all that kind of stuff, man. But these kind of things are important conversations we need to have in our culture.
Yeah, and the reason we're having this conversation, the reason we want to have Dr. Lee on, which, I mean, he's a doctor. He may not make it on this episode, but you can go back and watch the episode last night. But we're going to have him on much more because there's so many things we want to talk about. But just the basics of the fact that your testosterone as a man depletes as you get older, and you want to be the best version that you can be. And if you happen to be struggling maybe with your weight or with your energy or your mental focus, if you're, if those things are deteriorating, then your finances are going to deteriorate. Your relationships may deteriorate because you don't have the energy, you don't have the hormones to, make you the strong virile man that you want to be. And so it's something to look at, that if you're in your 40s or in your 50s, and I think one of the statistics he brought up was that most men in their 40s, their testosterone goes down 40%. By the time you get into your 50s, it goes down by like 50%. And so this is something to look at, that we want to not only, even as we're living longer, we want to make sure we have, not just quantity, but quality. And some of that comes from what hormones are we utilizing. And I love the fact that he brought up that to be the best men we can be nowadays, especially in our 40s and 50s, we need to have a little help. And doing something like testosterone replacement therapy will get you back into feeling like you're in your 20s again, and will help you to up level in all areas of your life. Because as men, we need high levels of testosterone. It's just the way it is. I know everybody's on this gender identity thing now, and it's not that important, that's not important. But I think if you, as a man in a male body, had higher levels of testosterone, you would be clearer mentally, you would have less depression, you'd be stronger physically, you would just feel better about your life. And all of those gurus out there, the men who want to better men are talking about, we need to be more manly. We need to get in the gym. We need to do those things. And if we're lacking the energy and the focus, maybe we need a little hormone help.
Yeah. You got to think about it. If we as real men are part of our calling, part of our role is to hold space, right? Hold space for each other, hold space for the women in our life, hold space for the family or the household in our life. How can you physically, mentally, how can you hold space if you're weak, if you're not at your best? Now, at 50, naturally, my son at 19, almost 20 is going to be, at a different stage physically than I am. I mean, I can still kick him. I got old man strength.
You hope so.
I can fight dirty if it came down to it. But at the same time, if I'm gonna hold up space for the world that I'm in, then I need to make sure that I'm at the peak of the best that I can be for that space that I need to hold. And that's a personal responsibility kind of thing for mine. And for some people, again, they're different levels. There's levels to this stuff. And so for somebody, it might be, okay, I need to up level in my sobriety. Somebody might need to up level in my mental health. I need to get in and talk to a therapist. I need to upload in my spiritual health. I need to work in that kind of way, whatever that expression looks like for you. I need to get into a doctor and figure out, okay, where do I stand? I just went today, and I got my blood drawn for my physical with my primary care doctor in a couple of weeks. Because I want to be adamant that every single year I want to have a physical. I want to have a sit down conversation with my doctor. And personally, I don't want to talk to the PA. I want to talk to my doctor, Dr. West, that I've been, going to for well over a decade now, probably 15 plus years. But and I want to have a conversation. How am I doing health wise? Yeah, as I get older, I'm going to see those changes, but the goal is to get old. Like that's the goal, right? But as I get old, how can I make sure that I'm aging as gracefully as possible? We just had that conversation. How can I make sure that I'm aging as gracefully as possible? And again, maybe that involves, okay, how are all of my levels? Not only my A1C and my cholesterol and my lipids and all that kind of stuff, but how's my testosterone? How's my estrogen? How's all those kinds of things? Those are questions that we need to ask as men if we're going to be at the best that we can be, to max out our own ceiling to be the best for the world that we're called to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about aging gracefully, you got to look at yourself as that vehicle, as this male vehicle in the body, and your four tires, your four pillars are physical wellness, emotional wellness, spiritual wellness, and financial wellness or wealth. And so what most of us guys tend to do is we look at what our strengths are. So maybe I'm physically great, but I don't look at my emotional or spiritual or financial, or maybe my finances are great, but my physical wellness is suffering and my relationships are suffering. So you got to look at it from this point of view, that there are four tires, or probably if we really break it down even more, and each one of those need to be properly inflated. We need to give them attention. And as we age, and we want to age gracefully, we want to be as potent and as contributing as we can be as men, and until our last days. And one of those ways is to talk to your doctor about TRT therapy and talk to somebody who can help you with that. Now, one of the things that Dr. Lee brought up last night is that looking at your diet, you need to think about things not necessarily from like a food pyramid mindset, because that food pyramid was created back in the 40s or 50s by the agricultural companies. So what are they growing? They're growing corn and grain and soybeans and stuff. So they put that like as the number one thing, because they want you to be a consumer. And that is one of the things he brought up as well, that the medical industrial complex is a thing, and it's run by big pharma, and they want you to be on as many drugs as they can get you on. And so they're not looking at the root cause of whatever the issue is. And so I don't want to say don't listen to your doctor, but I would say make sure you use a little critical thinking. Look at yourself personally, because everybody's different. We all need different things. We need different diets. We need different exercise routines. We need things kind of uniquely for us. And there's like the blood type diet. There's these other diets and things you can look at that maybe are better suited for you and your own health. But you got to look at it from a point of, I'm a man. I need to be responsible. And we're back to responsible again. I know you guys hate it. You got to be responsible for your own health and decide this is what's going to be best for me, and do that. And for some of us, it's going to be hormone therapy. It's going to be diet. It's going to be exercise. It's going to be going to therapy. It's going to be all those different things to make sure that we are the best we can be. And for a lot of us, I know in my case too, just doing something like testosterone replacement therapy up levels so much that it fixes a lot of the mental issues. It fixes a lot of the energy issues. It fixes a lot of the physical issues. And when those things are fixed, then your relationships improve, your finances improve, everything starts to improve. So it's a big thing for us guys to really think about.
Yeah, I bring this up a lot because it's kind of a big part of my story. That my father died when he was 46. His father died when he was 46. His father died before that. And me just having turned 50, I was and have been determined to make sure I break that curse, to make sure that ain't my story. That might have been their story, but that ain't my story. And I'm gonna do everything everything possible in my own. When I have my physicals, like with my primary care, who's a doctor of osteopath. I went to public school, man. DO. And his whole philosophy is most things in our culture, most things medically speaking, can be prevented when you get ahead of the curve, when you start to look at and analyze where you stand, health wise. You can look at labs and you can see how different body parts, your different organs are functioning and all these different kind of things. And so, from his perspective, getting ahead of the curve and making sure you're up on your body and you're up on your health, all that is huge, man. Because I just think about it like I'm just gonna be totally honest and transparent. I'll be damned if I'm gonna let my son down by dying before my time. I'll be damned if I'm going to let the woman in my life down by dying before I'm going to be damned if I let my daughters down. I'm going to be here as long as I can to be a part of their lives as long as I can. And that's what I owe. And then while I'm here, I want to be the best that I can be for them. And so, these are the kind of things that we need to make sure as men that we are aware of. And again, there's many facets of it. And we've had conversations about finances. We've had a conversation about real estate and estate planning. And we got all these other conversations coming up. We got another guest next week. And so we're having all of these conversations about things that we don't normally talk about publicly as men. A lot of us didn't grow up with gray-haired men, right? So we don't have these conversations that need to be had in terms of the important things in life. And so we need to make sure that we up level in every area of our life that we can possible and max out our ceiling. Am I ever going to be, ripped and shredded with 6-pack abs? Maybe, but probably not. That's not a priority of mine, quite honestly. But at the same time, I can be the best I can be. I can max out my potential, however many reps I can do. I can max that out and be the best I can be for, my lady, my kids, my friends, my brothers. I want to go. We got a tea time Saturday. It's my job to be there for the tea time Saturday and to do the best I can do to get me another hole in one. It's a whole new year. I need another hole in one this year. So it's my job to be there for my brothers as long as possible, man, and to push that envelope.
Yeah, and we've been talking about it, but let's get into the details of it. And one of the things, I've done the research, Kirk's done the research, and one of the things you got to look at, guys, if you're thinking about doing testosterone replacement therapy or hormone therapy, or you're feeling like maybe this is something you want to look into because you are low energy and maybe your libido is going down a little bit, or you're not doing as well at work, and so this could be a contributing factor across the board, make sure you do your research. A lot of the men's clinics around, they do big upfront costs. They try to get you on pills or creams or things like that. And go back and watch the episode from last night. Dr. Lee is very specific. Of all of the quote unquote options out there, the only one that really works is the injectables, is the subdermal injectables or the intramuscular injections. And it's a small little needle. So if you're scared of needles, you get over it. You're a man, you can do that. But that's the only thing that really works. So don't get sucked into a lot of the scams out there where they charge you $1,200 just to sign up, and then they want to put you on some pellet or pill or cream or something that doesn't really work. Because even what Dr. Lee said was the creams are dangerous because you put that on your hands, you don't know how much you're absorbing, you don't know, you rub it on your body, but then it's on your hands. And if you play with your kids or if you go into a pool, it basically cross-contaminates. It's like, can affect your children and your wife. And, less thing you want is your wife to have more testosterone than you while you're trying to build yours up. But you want to talk to a professional and do your research. I put the link in there for the Castle Rock Men's Health Clinic. It's Dr. Lee's personal one. He is all heart. He's all about love, and he's a great person to talk to. And if you're one of our fans, you're one of our listeners that's either no longer in Colorado or you don't want to drive down here, he can send it to you anywhere in the U.S., from New York to California to Hawaii to Alaska to Florida. You can do phone consultations. So there's no reason not to at least give them a call and check out your options. But make sure you do your due diligence, because a lot of times if it sounds too good to be true, it is. And a lot of these internet ones that I'm not even going to say their names, so I don't get in trouble, but they send you the kits and stuff like that. They're going to try to sell you the same pills and creams and things that don't really work, because they just want to get you on the hook. Like most of the medical industry, they want you on the hook, taking different medications. And so unless and that's one of the things too I want to bring up, this is something as older men we have to accept that that's part of our lives. If we want to feel like 20 again while we're in our 40s and 50s, this is something we're going to do from now on. If you're younger, maybe having low T issues, there might be a booster thing to get you going, and then you can start generating your own. But for us guys, it's something we're going to do. So keep that in mind, but make sure you do your research. Don't just jump into on the first thing, because a lot of them are out there. They're just trying to get in your pocket.
Yeah. And, he even brought up yesterday how, women, we got a lot of female, a lot of ladies that watch us. And, he brought up that, he went back and he kind of did some studying and some professional growth on female physiology and hormone optimization and all those kinds of things. And there are a lot of women that do, hormone therapy, even testosterone therapy. And fellas, you watch out. She mess around and get on that. You go, you never.
She'll wear you out.
I was about to say something that, yeah, but and so that's a very real thing too in terms of women. Matter of fact, one of the commenters on our video from yesterday was a woman, and she's like, "I love Dr. Lee," and so I don't know if I know I know her, not know her, but. She seems pretty healthy and that kind of stuff. So maybe I don't know, but either way, so a lot of women are kind of getting hooked in on their hormone optimization too. It's not just testosterone. It balances testosterone, estrogen. They do labs and check out all your stuff, your PSA levels, and monitoring this and that and all that kind of stuff to make sure that everything is as fine-tuned as possible, like the engine in your car. It's like getting a tune-up and what does that engine need. So these are the kind of things, man, as we kind of bring this plane in for a landing, these are the kind of things that we need to have these conversations. I highly recommend you go back on, Facebook, Mad Men of Masculinity page, YouTube, Mad Men of Masculinity channel, and find that video, with Dr. Lee, Dr. Lee Moore. And I mean, it was a great conversation, man. And it's something that, again, that we need to make sure we're up on.
Yeah. I mean, this is something not for all of us, not just men, for the ladies too, but for everyone that we need to be more educated on, because with our lack of nutrition food, with all the different hormones and different foods we're getting with all the fast food and all these different things, it has an effect. And for a lot of folks, they don't do any research. They don't take any responsibility, just accept what they're given, and they pay the price. And so one of the things we always preach about is, personal responsibility, making sure you're being responsible for you and your life. And one way to do that, one of the big ways to do that, is to be personally responsible for your health. And that's the way to do that.
He also talked about, this was pretty cool. He also talked about how, young girls are getting on this birth control so early, and these these synthetic birth controls are messing up women's bodies into their adulthood because they've gotten on these certain types of birth control methods early on in life. And so these kind of things are, again, educating ourselves. These kind of things are messing women up going into their future, into their adulthood. These are all kinds of stuff that, man, we need to dig into.
That's a great point. And so if you are doing research, make sure whatever you're taking is bioidentical, nothing synthetic. All this synthetic hormone stuff has lots of side effects that are being swept under the rug or not talked about. And so make sure whatever you're doing, if you're low energy, if you're putting on weights, if your libido is going down, most likely you have a hormone issue and probably a diet issue. And sometimes those go hand in hand. And so doing the research, make sure you get bioidentical hormones, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, whatever it is you need. And talk to somebody like Dr. Lee Moore at the Castle Rock Men's Health Clinic. He will help you do the blood work, make sure he sets you on a plan. And they don't just like, oh, here you go and you're done. You're going to be talking to them weekly for months until they get you kind of plateaued, and then they'll maybe bust out to 6 months. But they're not just going to go, oh, here you go, bye. Thank you for your money. They're there to take care of you.
And you're going to be getting labs pretty regularly done, blood draws, labs to check your levels and how they change. And like I said, tweaking and adjusting levels and, and all those kinds of things. So it's one of those things, man. It's an ongoing process, but it's just like your car. You take your car in for tune-ups. Sometimes you need to go in and change the brakes. Sometimes you need to go in and change spark plugs, whatever it is. But it's just like your car. Your engine in here needs to be taken care of on a regular basis.
Yeah, and it's sad, but most of us take better care of our cars than we take care of our bodies. So
that's true.
It's time to change that.
Look
true. At you. You know who you are.
You know who you are. You right there. You people hate when I point at the camera. You right there, man. You know what you doing about. Take care of yourself. Take care of all. Get your poop in the group, man. I mean, men and women, especially men. We need to take the lead on all this kind of stuff. So these are good conversations.
We need all of us being strong, healthy, having good quality of life and good quantity of life. And we need to be in this together. So if you're watching this and you're thinking about somebody, let them know. Yeah. Tell them to watch the episode. Tell them to like and subscribe. Get on YouTube. And then, make sure you leave comments and go see Dr. Lee Moore at the Castle Rock Men's Health Clinic. I put the link in the comments.
Boom. Like, subscribe. Holler at your boys, madmenradio.com. 1220 a.m. in the Mile High City on the interwebs everywhere, KLDC. Mad Men Radio. These are your boys, and we are
Out.